Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Harakah Kadash, the honesty apostles and elders of great millstone that rule well, and Shalom to all the brothers doing all exercise and truth. You got this article on the Daily Mail, and it's funny because it's basically showing that, the scriptures, teaching from the scriptures is gonna, the persecution's already been ramping up, but you can see already it's gonna get to that point where, you going out and speaking from the scriptures, they're gonna, that's gonna be used to move against you, and obviously brothers already in the crosshairs as far as for Esau, as far as for his elites. They're basically trying to do everything they can to avoid having to deal with this truth, this word going out. And you know what the month is, man. It's what the Alphabet Gang's month. So you've got the flip side where in America especially you still have those the Christian what they call Bible belters, where these guys will push back against it heavily. But then what? So it says, so much for the First Amendment. Christian preacher is arrested for quoting Bible verses at crowd gathered for Pennsylvania Pride event, only for DA to drop case after agreeing cops violate Constitution. And yeah, you know how Americans are with that Constitution. They'll be like, oh, First Amendment right, Second Amendment, for the guns and whatnot. That basically was, that shit didn't apply for shit, because you got grabbed up and thrown in jail for quoting the scriptures, which is funny as hell. But it's not a surprise, because as far as over here in the UK anyway, they don't even have that same laws. It's you have like section 4A of the Public Order Act over here, where if you call someone distress and alarm, so you can be walking around, you could be on the phone, you might have an agitated conversation on the phone that causes someone distress or alarm, they can come in and grab you up or shift you off or whatever. But this guy's in the States, where it's meant to be the bastion of that, and the shit ain't running. No surprise though, because times we're into, man. Really, since the pandemic, there's been a shift. Says, as a Christian street preacher was arrested for protesting LGBT Alphabet Gang event, only for the charges to be thrown out when a local DA agreed that detaining him violated his First Amendment rights. So when the legal system got involved, it got flipped. It says, what Damon Atkins, 41, was seen on camera holding a sign at a Pride event on June 3rd in the city of Reading that read, Jesus said, go and sin no more, and quoting Bible verses at the marches. Police came over and confronted Atkins, who pointed out that he was on public property. The officer can be seen telling them, while it is public property, you should let them have their day and respect it, referring to those. So yeah, as far as for what the scriptures say, throw that in the bin, but then these men can have their day. So it already lets you know what the vibration is. Atkins can be heard replying, know who's cheering for us? The people who are in hell. So you do you, I'm gonna do me. There's not wrong, man. They're in hell on earth, man. Until he put the super flag up there. This is the First Amendment states that that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble. So yeah, it's basically, it's that's the law that you can see that thing is going to be thrown in the bin, and already has been, because it's even over the UK. It was the right to protest during the pandemic that basically got thrown in the bin because people were protesting the lockdowns, and then they were getting grabbed up, thrown in jail, shifted off and whatnot for a good little while. So yeah, that's it's funny, all these things, they're slowly degrading, and with how they'll shift them off, it's it's basically just gonna amp up to the point where there'll be a fringe case, there'll be something that pops off where it's just like just going too far, and then off the back of that they'll be able to switch it up. It's the same thing with during the lockdowns where they're like, oh no, it's such an extreme situation, it's such a crisis, we can't, no, we have to suspend this, we're just not gonna have this. To where it's even they did the Sarah Everard thing, the women were out there protesting saying violence against women, and there the cops come in and shift them off. Shit. But you can see where it's going. It's like legally they've still got it there, and that's whilst they have it there. Over here in the UK, they well, what was it? It was you had running for a minute. What the hell are they called? They're called Extinction Rebellion. The climate protesters. Them man were well, what do you call it? Were like gluing themselves to the street, chaining themselves to different fences, and the police didn't have powers, so then they swiftly got laws pushed through to give them the powers to be able to grab them up and shift them off. So that's how you're gonna see it move, where it's like either the law's not there and then they make it, or there'll be a law there restricting them and then they'll remove it because they'll say, okay, it's gone, it's gone to this extreme. And that's teaching the scriptures is not going to run, man, after a while. So it says what, Amos 8 and 10, 8 and 11, it says, behold, the days come, saith the Most High Power, that will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Lord Jehovah Hashem Yahushai. Yeah, that famine of the word's going to come, because why? It's going to get to the point where it's going to hit a point of crisis. They're basically going to have, they're going to come up with a means to justify, like, no, we can't let X, Y, Z. Just like when it was, during the height of the lockdown, if you went out to teach, they'll be, you get grabbed up by the cops, they'll slam a fat fine on you and tell you to shift off. There's those videos of people going out and just being like, oh, I'm on a walk, getting slapped with like £300 fines, for going for a walk, which you're even meant to be able to do. But, well, we've already seen it manifest, and then you can see how, because it's the people folded once the what do you call it? Once they kind of had the justification produced of like, yeah, you can adjust. Once I had the justification of why they can come against, essentially, even if the law don't exist, they can bring in some new law. Even if it's even if it's not there, they can still just say, okay, because of how much of a critical situation this is, we're now just we're gonna have it so you guys can't even go out. It's in people's minds. They've already folded to it once. So further down the line, when it's like, oh, okay, we're in a state of war. Oh, okay, these, we're under XYZ situation. They'll fold easier. Revelation 13 and 3, and it says, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And yeah, that's really what's been running, because since you've had the renaissance, the rebirth of Esau in Europe, is basically being able to expand to where everyone's wandering after, everyone's following after, everyone's bedazzled by the beast. They're all entrenched within his system. And then what does that result in? That's why, for you to be going out and, the guy mentioning scriptures, mentioning why, what do you call that? These alphabet gang are completely going against the scriptures, then now that's you know, that's looked at now like, no, you're a monster. No, it's disgusting. Because why? Because now that's the new hip thing. Now that's the one thing that's covered. Isaiah 29:16, it says, surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as a potter's clay. But shall the work say of him that made it, he made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, he had no understanding? Yeah, that's everything's been flipped on its head. That's really what's been done. To where now, you know, wickedness, people partaking in wickedness is, you know, seen as bravery, seen as something worth protecting. But, you know, for you to stand as a righteous man, you know, to condemning that, that's seen as wickedness now. So that's all been flipped. And that's why, because what? That's because the wicked are in rule. Now it's all an error that proceeded from the rulers. He's basically co-signed everything. And then people are following after what, you know, the standard that he's set. Esteemed as a potter's clay, for shall the work say of him that made it, he made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, he had no understanding? And yeah, that's basically what he's saying. He's saying, nah, you know, the way you're doing things, no, fuck all that. It's, you know, it's backwards, it's retarded. We basically, we need to flip that. There's benefit, you know, to doing it how we do it, which is, you know, why that people are going out indulging in it. But then lo and behold, it's becoming plain as day why. It's confusion, man. It said what? Jeremiah 51:7. It says, Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord Yahweh's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Yeah, everyone's drunk of the wine. That's why it's, you know, it's a month to celebrate. Everyone's posting on their social media. Everyone's, you know, buying products, you know, in support of it. Everyone's down for it. Because why? Everyone's drunk the wine, man. That's why you go to places where you have minimal influence from Babylon the Great. Lo and behold, they ain't down, man. They ain't jiving with it. But yeah, you know, it's plain to see. It's not, you know, it's not a surprise at this point. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom.